Welcome back. So you're probably seeing a bunch of rumors on the new iPhone 12 that's going to come out in the fall. And a lot of these rumors are missing the point when it comes to the camera. So we're going to dive in this video. The main feature is going to be speed. This camera is going to be blazing fast. And I'm going to go over 3 different features we can expect. I'm Supreet, and on this channel we cover phones and photography with a deeper insight than you'll find elsewhere. So if you're new, consider subscribing. So the first point is we're going to see high frame rate 4K. And this has been something that many people think is going to happen because we've seen some code that leaked to show 240 FPS as well as a 120 FPS mode. I think the 120 FPS mode is going to be higher quality really. The 240 is probably going to do some sort of frame manipulation to get more frames. For comparison, the current iPhone 11 Pro maxes out at 4K 60 frames per second. So this is going to be a 4 times jump. It's going to be really sweet. And this is believable because Apple loves to show off their processing power. So this is going to be a great way to show how many images they can churn out in terms of 4K video. What's interesting is this makes a strong case for a high refresh rate screen, because if you're going to take 4K, 120, 240 FPS video, you want to see it on your phone. So I think we will see that high refresh rate screen this year to show off, what you can do with your phone. So the next couple of insights focus on a new sensor that I expect to see in the top of the line iPhone 12 Pros. And this is the LiDAR sensor that was in the iPad Pro this year. This LiDAR sensor was marketed for augmented reality, but in reality it has much more use cases. So what people don't realize is that this LiDAR sensor is a time-of-flight sensor. So it shoots a bunch of rays out at amazing speed to capture depth information. So the second point is that with this time-of-flight sensor, we're going to see better autofocus. And right now, if you look at other competing phones, they have tracking modes in autofocus where you can tap a subject, and then when you move your phone around, it'll keep that subject focused even if you go close or go far. And this is something that we're already seeing on phones like the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II, which also has a time-of-flight sensor. And Sony is using that to do 20 frames per second burst image shots using just that time-of-flight sensor and the 12 megapixel sensors it has. So if Sony can do it, I think Apple can do something similar. It may not be as fast, but I think they're going to do something there. So the third point is portrait video. iPhones, as well as almost every other flagship, has some sort of portrait mode for photos, but only competition like the Samsung have it for video, where as I'm taking video, it'll blur out the background and just have me in focus. And I think Apple is going to do it this year. I think the time-of-flight sensor is going to make it a lot easier because they'll have the depth information of knowing where you are in the frame, combined with the processing power that they'll have in the latest phone. So I think we'll finally get that. It's also interesting to note that there's an app out called Focus Live, which I might talk about in a future video. Let me know if you're interested, where you can actually do this with the current generation of phones. What's interesting about that is it'll actually do it as a post-processing step. So it'll capture video normally, and then when when you're done, it'll process it and then make it blur out the background. But I think the new phones will do it real time. So those are my 3 insights on how this phone is going to be fast. But I have one more for you that have been watching this far into the video. And for this bonus one, we'll have to take a look at some of these recent hardware prototypes that people have. And if you look at this photo here, you'll see that there's a button near the bottom of the phone. And there's a debate on this is a button, if it's a sensor. I think it's a button. And I think Apple's given us a clue on what this could be, which people haven't really thought about. But if you look at the battery case for the 11 Pro Max here, you'll see that it has a button at the bottom. And what does this button do, right? It's a similar position. This button actually triggers the camera. It's a shortcut to launch the camera, as well as it can be used as a shutter button. And I really think that new button we're seeing on the new phones could be some sort of camera control. Now I love cameras, so I want it to be a camera control, but that's the only evidence we have. Apple's built into the battery case. I've used it, it works well. And if they can pull it into the phone, that'll just be, it'll be awesome. So whatever Apple does this fall with the new phones, they're going to have to make a strong case to get people with iPhone 11 Pros to upgrade. And I think they're going to make a case with the stronger 4K video, the better autofocus, as well as, maybe portrait mode, and maybe even a camera control, right? Because everyone loves shutter buttons. Just look at the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II. It has a shutter button. Thanks a lot for watching the full video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, leave a comment, and if you're new, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.